Well, let us move forward for a very amazing presentation. Well, let me just put some thoughts on it. Designing an employee experience is all about engaging employee better such that it reflects on their performance. Of course, we all really vouch for that. So, of course, there must be consistency, structure, and motivation while you design a plan for improving employee engagement or experience so that the performance is also enhanced. And that's what I think as an HR leaders we look out for. Right from defining clear objectives to gather employee feedback, this is absolutely necessary. Designing and customizing experiences for different type of employees is at most crucial. Also, a better employee experience start with providing them with the better resources. So let's take a more deeper understanding on designing a complete people experience out here. And of course, this session will be held by Mr. Srinivasa Bharathy, MD and CEO, Adrenalin eSystems. And can we have a huge round of applause for him? A very experienced leader will be sharing, and I think this is a very, very individualistic and a very important topic wherein we all deal with, and as HR leaders, we really want to deep delve in what really happens when designing a people experience according to the different type of employees and the segments. So let's take a look. Over to you, sir. Come on, can we welcome him with a huge round of applause, everyone?
Lunch was good, I hope, and I hope everyone got their spoonful at least, compared to yesterday. And good afternoon. I think I'm glad to see a great full house as yesterday, I think, thanks to the organizers. So we have 20 minutes, and I'm actually going to walk you through what we have done as what I call people experience reimagined. Adrenalin has been, as many of you would be aware, as a pioneer in the HR tech space for more than 25 years now. We did formally form it as a company, of course, 22 years ago. But then we have been there and walked, I think, the whole experience with a lot of you. I see a lot of faces here who are also our esteemed customers who've been using this. We have more than 1 million employees today who use our solution in this country. And Max, as a part of what we were doing, we said, okay, what is happening in the technology industry with respect to supporting the HR function, the people function, right? And if you kind of recollect what happened, in the start of the technology field, we started off as a system of records. We just said, okay, how do I actually keep records of employees, keep the details that are needed for personnel that became employees and became HR, right? And that actually evolved over a period of time into a system of transactions. And what we see, at least we saw till a few years ago, was a system of transactions. But then what's evolving now is what we are calling system of experiences. So experiences matter, right? So I think a lot of us in HR know how do we recruit people. We look at the number of years of experience. And what does that mean? And experience is not about number of years you've just spent sitting somewhere. It's about having actually gone through a journey. And that journey is about gathering, learning, actually helping others learn. And that experience sticks to you, and that actually develops us as human beings, isn't it? And that's what we actually said should be the criteria with which we would actually look at that. The lens with which we look at is experiences. So coming to what we decided and designed this entire thing is about taking a very holistic view of what we do across the people spectrum and say, how do we actually create a HR tech platform that supports all kinds of experiences that are inside and outside an organization, and hence enable this seamless kind of experience throughout the journey that a person undergoes, whether that person is an employee or not, whether it's outside the organization, inside the organization, whether it's a partner, whether it's a stakeholder, whether it's a candidate, whether he or she is an alumni. How do I actually create this as a seamless bonding of people and their experiences using a HR tech, kind of an approach? And that's how we actually kind of brought about this infinity kind of a thing that said, can we actually create something that's a system of experiences compared to a system of records or a system of transactions? And so what I'm actually going to take you through over the next 15 minutes or so is how we have actually kind of designed this. The key word here is designing. So how do you actually design an experience? Experience is something that we all go through. But then can I actually design it? Can I actually create some way of providing experiences that are pre-designed, that you don't feel it's designed, but then actually you experience it when you use it, right? And that's how we see a lot of tech-enabled gadgets today. And that's the success of the smartphone. Essentially, the experience is what counts. It's not just the gadget. It's not what is the applications inside, but it's the experience that you get when you use it, right? So usage is about experience, and experiences define how systems will evolve in the future. And I think we are going to see more of, you're going to see more of me after this session too, when we actually have a set of experts with me talking about how this is going to extend into experiences using AI in the future, right? So how have we looked at it? We have actually looked at this in 4 journeys, and in the entire people experience cycle. So it starts off, obviously, in an organizational context. It starts off with the candidate experience. How well can we design a candidate experience? Somebody who is not yet an employee, but how do we actually, get the experience of to a candidate very similar to how I would do for an employee, and hence attract the right talent, right? So attracting the talent starts with attracting the pool of candidates that are available, in the market, and how do I actually create that experience for them that gives that brand image, that feel, and that, I would say, attraction for those candidates to join us in the organization. So it starts off with that, and we said, okay, can we actually create a seamless experience for candidates that is driven a lot by technology, and of course, with the right interventions by people, right? That's the first part. And once a candidate is onboarded, of course, how do I actually do seamless onboarding, et cetera? There are many excellent ideas and creative things that are coming up in the world today. How do I actually then make all the mundane things in operational HR parlance, the routine tasks, right? As an employee, there are so many things that you are expected to do, right from the most painful attendance, management, leave, absence, travel, claims, help desk. There's a huge lot of things that so including compensation, right? Including how do I design compensation, how do I plan for it, how do I ensure that compensation that actually reaches the employees are, that experience itself, that the payroll actually strikes on the right time, it's accurate, and it's actually providing all the clarifications that's in the mind of the employee at the right, in the right place in your system, right? So that's the employee experience. So how do I design a great employee experience? Moving forward, employees are not just employees. We said we should treat them as talent. And how do I then, if I look at employees from the angle of talent, then what should I do to nurture that talent, to develop that talent, to actually ensure I'm identifying the right, potential in that talent? How do I match potential with performance? And how do I actually then bring this all together and use technology to support decision making, right? And that's the talent experience. How well and how great am I actually providing this experience to employees to nurture them and become talent tomorrow as leaders and, as successful managers? And that's the talent experience part. And finally, all of this obviously needs to be done through managing data. So now, how do I manage this data? How do I actually know what's the right data that I should be using, or converting into information that's actionable for me at the right time. Because timely information is as much important as accurate information, isn't it? So I think that's what we called as the data experience. And we will see a very quick journey, dive down in each of these experiences and see how is it that we have actually tried to, design this. So I've taken, of course, some examples here just to actually make it simpler, make it easier. I know Rahul is a very common name. How many Rahuls are here? Quite a few Rahuls. There's Rahul, a prospective candidate, and I'm thinking is an employee soon. There's, of course, Ankita, who's a recruiter, who's on the other side. And this is me. Unfortunately, these guys have actually defined a caricature. Some of you might have done the caricature in our booth. That's not me, but some representation of me. Of course, we are going through a very quick user journey. We call it user journeys. And then how do we actually map these user journeys using both technology and people on either side and ensure that this is as seamless as it can get, right? So I'm actually going to run through this pretty quickly, keeping in mind that the time we have. Rahul actually goes through this, like I said, he lands on a mic. All of this, think of this, that all of this is now achievable in one single kind of a seamless, experience or a seamless platform. Right from there, he's actually excited. He decides to apply. And all of these possible through microsites that are there, the nudges that actually come through your AI engines, the profile matching that actually happens using an AI backend, and making the job, for example, for Ankita, that much more easier, that much more simpler. She's the person who actually has the flood of, in India we know, right, for every position, what should be the average profiles we receive? 100? 200? 250. So I think the job is cut out, right? 250 on an average, going through the profiles, understanding the match for the to the position, and shortlisting them itself is a major task. So I think that's where, how do I actually provide that experience, same experience on the other side? How do I make it easier on the talent acquisition team to ensure that they're actually able to zero in on the right candidates very quickly? And, in this case, of course, Rahul has been lucky, obviously, because I'm telling the story. And he actually gets shortlisted through the AI engine. He's called for the interview automatically. He actually comes in. But then we need to still crack whether, in certain industries, we see the possibility of, video interviews that are being also, run by technology, platforms. Obviously, it doesn't make sense in every industry. In certain industries, it does. In certain industries, it doesn't. But then, even before the process is actually done, Rahul has actually done most of the work that he actually now feels, okay, this is the company that I would want to join, because all of these, including an automation of, I think the panelists earlier were talking about automated background verification and how AI can help there. So that's something that we have also, cracked. And providing this a very simple, unified experience for candidates makes it that much more easier for organizations to attract talent. Would you agree? So I think that starts the whole ball rolling and making the, the job of a HR function that much more easier using technologies. For example, you see something called nudges, right? So there are nudges that can be provided, and these are all customizable nudges that can actually be provided to candidates at the right time. And you can say, okay, this is what you should be doing. Have you done this? Once I have done it, actually, have I got a quick badge for this? Can I actually put it into my internal social page in the organization? So there are other persons now saying, okay, there's this new person who has come in, he's gone through the initial, phase of onboarding, and there he is. And then now comes the real deal, right? He becomes an employee, and then the problems start. Where do I go for this? Where do I go for, applying for, we start off usually with applying for a vacation. Okay, there are these new guys who have come in. And now there comes the ability for us to actually create an experience which is seamless using multiple channels. Today, you can use, we call our chatbot the Sara, but then you can do it via WhatsApp. Wherever your workplace is, take the experience to the workplace. So if you're using Teams, if you're using, Slack, you're using, WhatsApp, you're using mobile, you're using web, it doesn't matter. I think, the idea is to create that experience wherever the employee is doing their normal day-to-day work and not making them come to somewhere else to do the, typical routine work that we all feel is, something that is a routine. Why should I even bother to actually do all this? But then these are also important from an organizational perspective. These tasks are important because they keep the, organization ticking. It's the routine tasks that are more important, I think, which are the bread and butter, right? So there are some, areas which actually provide you that simplicity without you knowing it. And that's how experiences should work. So it should not be in the face. It should be, okay, I'm doing this, and at the same time, actually, I'm in parallel, I'm able to do some of the routine stuff that I'm supposed to be doing for my relationship with the organization, right, as an employee. And that's how the design has been taken into consideration. And, while you are on something else, there are other things that can happen. Simple things, they look simple, but then, some of these are pain. How many of you get I don't know if a lot of people are there from the IT industry, but then you have the timesheet problem always, right? So you don't have employees filling up their timesheets on time. I'm sure it's same with project management industry. How do I actually then ensure project timelines are being met while the employee is not really disturbed while doing this? And at the same time, how do I create rewards for the employee through nudges that actually can be redeemed for something that the employee likes to do, right? So that's very quickly a recap of employee experience. I'm going to rush through 5 minutes. We come to talent. Talent is an interesting piece because this is something where I think most systems start lagging behind, right? So you have a certain thing that you can do, but then how many of you really like to fill in your appraisals in the system? No. How many of your employees do it on time? How many extensions do we have to do? Isn't it? We go through that as a normal, painstaking process. I think this is where some of these experiences will start helping. Some of these, technology-driven nudges that can be provided. Some of these easy, to use prompts that actually can provide the view for us to actually manage talent. How do I loop back my talent, talent's performance, potential, and learning together and ensure that there is continuous development of the talent that's happening, right? So those are the areas that we have thought of. So it is always said that the strength of the organization is the strength of the weakest link, right? So whenever there is a link of information that goes through, identifying the weakest link and ensuring that weakest link is addressed. In this case, information link that happens right from the candidates, when the person was a candidate, right through to how he's managed his talent. For example, you could have a candidate who's possibly recruited for a certain role, but then we actually did not know that this person had a previous experience in a certain function that has become a vacancy today that we didn't know, right? How do I actually manage that using technology? And that's what I think, those are certain gaps that we have tried to fill in the process of identifying this talent experience. Now, while talent performance is easier to measure, how do I measure potential is a very interesting thing. We have come out with something called Talent Scan. I think yesterday one of our customers, I think she would have spoken here, about how we have used like the MRI scan, we have got something called the talent scan, which gives a 360-degree view of an employee's potential or a talent potential and enables the management to then look at how do we actually grow this talent inside the organization in line with the business objectives of the organization. So that's something that, for example, that's the spider chart example that is shown here. And again, using AI, using nudges, using prompts, there's a lot of things that we can achieve today that were not available to us earlier. So linking back your performance and your gaps in your performance to learning is one of the very key things that we've addressed in talent experience. Coming to the final one, which is data. Data, today we look at data using reports, correct? I know a lot of times, in our organization, we get requests for reports. And in certain instances, I keep asking them, we have crossed 1,000 reports, development for a certain organization. I said, okay, so how do you even look at 1,000 reports? What do you do with that? At what time do you look at what? And then you need to build one more report to find out which report is the right one. Right? So I think, what we need is insights, more than reports, more than visual representation, which looks great and, flashy. What we need are insights into the data that can actually be provided pretty quickly using technology systems and tools that are available today that can help a CHRO and a CEO together take those interesting, important decisions at the right time. And that's what is key. And to us, all our experiences have been designed on 2 or 3 key functions, what we call, less is more, which means we say, okay, focus on a few things, you obviously start achieving more. We call this design thinking principle, last 2% is 200%, which means most of the time you would see that things are all done 98% of the way, and then the last 2% is stuck, right? You're waiting for approvals, I'm sure, right? Or, these are things that we actually look at and say, how do I actually move that last 2%? How do I ensure I can achieve more with less? And that's essentially what we have done using Max Insights, right? Max Insights provides us the ability to quickly decide how do I actually take decisions on talent at the time that it is needed to be taken. And that's what Max Insights provides you, the ability for it to be coupled with other information which uses. So I'm going to start the controversy for the next panel here itself. I have my panel members here. So usually you put the employee at the center. I've put the AI bot at the center and said, Sarah is our AI engine, and said, is that right or not? I think we will discuss in our panel. We have some interesting things to talk about. And that's exactly what we think is providing a complete people experience, right? And we, of course, have also gone one step ahead and said, what are the things that enable this? We call this the A-team. We call them the enablers. You need an experienced designer. We have actually named everything in technology. We don't want to call it form designer, report designer, etc. We have given them names. So we call Lisa for doing something. We call Sam to actually ensure security is taken care. We call Bob the Builder. How many of you know Bob the Builder? I'm sure it's known, right? So we use Bob the Builder to create workflows and set up your notifications and alerts. We call Jason. Jason, of course, is taken from the JSON framework, which is using APIs and platforms to connect with third-party systems. And Dalton again is a cartoon character, if some of you know, who actually analyzes data pretty well, right? And that's Dalton who provides us the insights. So there we are. I'm 2 minutes late. Sorry, guys, I had to rush through. But that's what I wanted to share with all of you and kind of inform you that we are in the cusp of how technology can really enable a lot of things that a CHRO would be looking for. But would that mean the human touch is entirely lost? We are going to actually have that in our panel discussion next. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bharti. I'll request you to please be on stage. And can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? Please join us on stage. And to felicitate Mr. Srinivasa Bharathy, I'll call upon Sanjay Kumar, CHRO, Apar Industries Limited. Can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? Thank you, sir, for such a phenomenal corporate presentation. Well, we definitely have got some productive insights on this designing a complete people experience right now. Please accept the memento and thank you so much for your valuable time and this presentation. And can we have a huge round of applause, everyone? Come on.